Ladies and gentlemen, we are live!
Welcome everybody to the Bronx Sports Jedi MMA Weekly with Austin and Chef Dan. How you doing tonight, Chef Dan?
Salute to you, Austin. Salute to everyone in the chat. Coming off of a great weekend. We had really near the end of the week into the weekend, we had some great events, not UFC pertaining, but it was still MMA based. We had the premiere, the United States premiere of Eagle FC, hosted by Khabib Nurmagomedov. That was an awesome event. And then we got to get right into this Bellator. So I'm doing great right now. How are you, Austin?
Doing well. And yeah, a lot happened in MMA that wasn't UFC. The UFC took a week off last weekend. But we had, still a lot of big MMA events with Bellator and also the U.S. debut of Eagle FC in Miami, Florida with, Khabib's organization. And that, yeah, and we'll definitely talk about both of those events. But first, just want to mention we are an audio. We do have audio platform. We're on audio platforms where it be Spotify, Google Podcasts, Apple Podcasts, Reason FM, etc. So if you want to listen to us on podcast platforms, audio only, you can check us out there. And we'll definitely look forward to breaking down what happened this past weekend and previewing this Saturday's UFC event between Jack Hermansson and Sean Strickland, the main event, and also the rest of the card. But before we do that, there's boxing this weekend, a big-time boxing fight between Thurman and Mario Barrios in the welterweight division. And my dad did a little preview for that show. I mean, not that show, but the fight itself. So I'm going to play that clip real quick. And then, Chef Dan, if you want to talk more about that fight, you can, and we'll go from there.
Okay.
What is up, everyone? This is BX Sports Jedi in the Boxing Report on the MMA Weekly with Austin and Chef Dan. I am BX Sports Jedi Kev with the quick fight. This weekend, we have a good card here. Thurman versus Mario Barrios for the welterweight title. And I'm going to break it down real quick. Thurman, one-time Thurman, is looking to get back into the mix. But one time he's coming off a loss of Manny Pacquiao about almost 3 years ago. And he has a perception he's awfully injured and he has a part-time hitter and he has to prove himself. Almost a 3-year layoff now. If Thurman wants to come back to his glory and become a force in the welterweight division, then he needs to get moving and start being more active and build some activity. And the activity starts with former WBA super lightweight champion Mario Barrios. Now, you could tell Mario Barrios is an up and rising, very strong fighter and too much of a strong opponent for Keith Thurman to take on, who's been almost 3 years laid off, and Barrios just coming off a respectable effort against Gervonta Tank Davis. Where Barrios, you could arguably say could have won that fight himself, and he fought a really strong fight himself. He survived, and he took it to Devontae, and Devontae, he made that fight very extremely difficult. And Barrios, he knocked him down, but he stopped him. But he stood toe to toe there, and Barrios is a dog, a strong opponent for an inactive Keith one time Thurman. I mean, it's going to be a condemned. Barrios put a condemnable fight out there, but man, that's going to be a good fight, man. That's a good fight, and Tank turned it on in the second half of the fight, but man, Barrios is a tough opponent for an inactive Thurman. Personally, Keith Thurman is just one of those enigma fighters. Who is he? What is he? His last fight against Manny Pacquiao, he took that defeat to Manny Pacquiao, and hasn't fought since. And Barrios is more active. I'm thinking Barrios is going to win this fight, man. It's going to make a fight so interesting. Is Barrios was also a big lightweight welterweight, and he was vocal about making a weight last fight. So we shall see. It's going to be a good fight between these two. Look for fireworks. I think it's going to go the distance. I don't think it'll be a knockout. I don't think any of those fighters will be embarrassed. I think that we'll have a good fight. It's going to be a good card. Also, we have Leo Santa Cruz is going to fight Kian Kamboja, 10-round super featherweight fight. That's going to be the co-main event. That's going to be a good fight there too as well. You also got Jesus Ramos versus Valerio Hernandez, also a 10-round super welterweight fight as well. And then you have Luis Nuri versus Carlos Castro. It's also a 10-round bantamweight fight. So that's the main card. The undercard, of course, that's going to be on the Zone. Premier Boxing Championship on the Zone, and also on the Fox. On the undercard will be on Fox. A. Ramos versus Lucas Santamaria. That's also a 10-round welterweight. And Ryan Carl versus Omar Gutierrez. That's also a 10-round super lightweight fight. So a lot of lightweight, super lightweight, bantamweight, and welterweight. So you're going to see a lot. These guys are fast. They move the hands. There might be some knockouts. There might be some knockout powers. Look for that. It's going to be an interesting fight. I'll have the results on that. They'll be doing double duties. Myself, keeping an eye, one eye on UFC, one eye on the boxing, and watching the Knicks basketball. So we'll be a busy person, busy on the BX Sports Jedi Network. But this is my boxing report. I just wanted to make a quick 5-minute video to give you a boxing report. For this upcoming weekend's fight. We're trying a new segment here since I'm not able to record it. And I want to thank the guys. Guys, keep doing your job. Keep doing a good job on Chef Dan and Austin. So this is BX Sports Jedi Network with the boxing report for the MMA Weekly with Austin and Chef Dan. May the fights be with you, and may the sports be with you. This is BX Sports Jedi. We'll see you next week.
Well, there you go. That was my dad, Kevin, with the boxing report for Keith Thurman and Mario Barrios. And is there anything you want to say about this fight, Chef Dan?
One thing I want to add that is very important. Your dad said it. Jedi said it the best. Keith Thurman is a bit of an inconsistent fighter. Versus Mario Barrios, we're seeing the last time he had a fight was against Gervonta Tank Davis, and he stood his ground there. That was a very impressive fight. Tank ended up winning the fight, but Mario Barrios, he showed that, in front of a guy in Gervonta Tank Davis who's known to have knockout power, he can, stand in front of him, withstand that power. This is going to be a very interesting fight because I believe that I know the saying has been that heavyweights, they sell out, they make the most money in the boxing world, but I think the welterweight division within the boxing world has a lot of parity. You have a lot of guys who, even just when Manny had gotten the championship from Keith Thurman, it was around the time where there was a lot of parity in that division. You have guys in Bud Crawford, you have guys in Errol Spence, you have a lot of guys at the time before he announced his retirement. He just fought Bud Crawford. What's his name?
Sean Porter?
Sean Porter, exactly. There's a lot of parity there, and so this fight is going to be very interesting. This may determine, as far as like super fights to come. I think this fight right here determines a super fight because whoever gets the title, they won't need to defend it. I think that whoever gets this title here, they're gonna get called out by Errol Spence. They're looking to unify some championships. They're looking for some money fights. That's the way to go if I was boxing. So I'm very interested. This is the setup to an even bigger money fight. So I'm very interested for this fight as well.
Okay, and yeah, I did not know Keith Thurman hadn't boxed since that Manny Pacquiao fight. For some reason, I thought he had boxed, after that. I know COVID shut down, was hard for combat sports, took a little bit, especially boxing, before they went back rolling. But I would think maybe he would fall at least once after that Pacquiao fight back in July of 2019. That surprised me when I heard that.
It is, but it isn't, because that's the inactivity that boxers have. We usually, I know Tyson Fury and Deontay Wilder, those heavyweights, but when did we really see them? A year to two apart from each other. Really closer to 2 years apart from each other. They hosted the fights every now and then. Granted, these guys are dishing out way more damage than the welterweights, but we see that within the sport of boxing that, like, I know the main card, the main fight is easy to book. Everything else and having the audience come in and get that draw, that's hard enough as it is. So on top of them trying to compete with the UFC on Saturdays to see who gets what, like it's tough for boxing there. So I can see why Keith Thurman spent some time not going, not having a fight. If it really wasn't for championships, or if it wasn't something to get him closer to a picture for a championship, I could understand why waiting so long until you have a vacated title and his name is first up to bat. So
Gotcha. That makes sense. And okay, and that's this Saturday on pay-per-view. Should be about 10. The pay-per-view should start at 10 p.m. Eastern time, I believe.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, Saturday the 5th at 10 p.m. Eastern. We should, yeah.
Okay, and so you definitely got big time boxing this weekend, which is good for a boxing fan. And I guess we can go to the MMA side now. Let's start with the Eagle FC in Miami. Now, Chef Dan, you saw this card. I think you saw most of it, or at least the main card.
Yeah, I pretty much saw this from the beginning. Ayadi Mejidin versus Siddiq Mudev, all the way to the last fight, Tyrone Sprong versus Sergey Karatanov. I really paid attention to this card. This is very interesting because what I want to say before, if you want to jump in here, the one thing I want to say with the regards to the class of competition we saw out there is that some of these younger guys, they remind me of guys that are getting preliminary fights in the UFC. These and you can see the clear, stark difference between a guy in the Contender Series versus a guy that's getting preliminary bouts versus a guy that's on the main card. And all the guys that were on the preliminary for this Eagle FC card look like they belong on a preliminary for a UFC card. The guys that were on the main card look like they belong to main card fights. And there was even a preliminary fight in the Eagle FC card that I felt this guy, he made a name for himself, and I'm excited to see the next Eagle FC card with his name on it.
Oh, well, that's pretty good. I mean, to hear, and I'm not somewhat surprised because I know a lot of fighters that are part of Eagles FC are from Dagestan and that region. Chechnya, former Soviet republics, and they're still part of Russia. Some aren't anymore, and also Russia itself, which, as we know in recent years, recent years, a lot of Russian talent and people from former Soviet republics have come in and just have started doing well in MMA, not just in UFC, but also Bellator and ONE FC, etc. So, not surprised by the talent, hearing that about the talent pool. And so since you mentioned the main event, I guess we could start off there. Sergey Karatanov versus Tyrone Sprong. It seemed like, based on what I saw, that it seemed like Sergey Karatanov knew that he was the better grappler of the two. Since Tyrone Sprong is, I believe, a kickboxing world champion. I know he was a good kickboxer, but I think he was a world champion too, if I'm not mistaken.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah, and basically uses grappling, wrestling, to take him down, just ground and pound him till the referee stopped the fight in 2 minutes and 55 seconds in the second round. And Sergey Caratana is one of those guys. Once he gets on top of you, he'll just keep pounding on you until the ref stops it. I mean, one of the more vicious ground and pounds I recall in MMA history is when Sergey Caratana did against Semi Show back in Pride in 2004, where Semi's eye got shut. It was that's a very gruesome ground and pound. If you ever go back and watch it, that was bad. And Sergey Caratana, so he's the type of guy who gets on top of you, it's usually lights out. And Tyrone Sprong unfortunately had nothing to defend against it in the second round. And it really didn't surprise me, because I feel like if Sergey, the fight went to the ground, Sergey was going to win. And if the fight was staying up, Tyrone Sprong had a clear advantage and probably could knock out Sergey Caratana. And once the fight went to the ground, not surprised Sergey got the victory. And also, Tyrone Sprong hasn't fought an MMA fight in like several years. He's only fought 2 prior to this, and the last fight was in 2015, I want to say. Could be wrong. It might have been. It's been several years since Tyrone Sprong's last MMA fight from before this fight with Sergey.
I believe, yeah, he's been doing boxing. Yeah, you're absolutely right. He did maybe No, he hasn't really did. Yeah, he hasn't really done any MMA. He was doing a lot of kickboxing, and then he had the gruesome leg injury.
Yeah, I know that leg injury held him back from probably doing more, getting really deep into MMA, unfortunately.
Yeah, but and I'm in complete compliance with the observation you made throughout the fight. But the one thing that kind of bothered me for the fight was that everyone kind of made a big deal prior to the fight about why Tyrone Sprong decided to go into heavyweight to face Sergey Caratana. It looked like his body couldn't naturally maintain that weight, and he was coming in at a weight disadvantage. And when those boys got into the octagon, you clearly saw it. And to your point, I know you said that if this fight stayed on its feet, that there was a chance for Sprong to win. The way that Karatanov entered this fight, the way that he, went about his business, it seemed like he was not trying to let this be decided on the feet at all whatsoever. That was not his intention. He was aggressive with the takedowns, aggressive with the wrestling, and I got to give Tyrone Sprong some credit. He was able to fight off some of the shots, but at the end of the day, his defense wasn't sound enough. And Karatanov kept getting on top, mounting a ground and pound. If not, he was trying to go for submissions, things of that nature. This was all the way Karatanov's fight. This not to, I don't think there was to me specifically, I don't see really a moment where Tyrone Sprong could have really flipped the fight and made it his. I really saw this as Karatanov's fight, and I think that, man, Tyrone Sprong, if he wants to continue in the UFC, I'd prefer him to come down from the heavyweight division.
UFC?
I mean, MMA. If he wants to continue in MMA, come down from the heavyweight division.
Yeah, that's true, because I forgot. I think he used to fight at 205 and like light heavyweight, around that weight class. It isn't 205 in kickboxing, but around light heavyweight, around there. Never a heavyweight. But especially, you mentioned Karatanov, actually I think he had to cut down 265, which you don't see that many heavyweights do usually. And a person who cuts down weights grappling take you down. I mean, they gotta be 280 or 275, at minimum 275, not 280ish and etc. And a person that big on you is just, especially if you don't have great grappling or jiu-jitsu. I mean, oof, that's a rough night. And
it was a rough night completely for Tyrone Sprong. And part of me man, watching that fight, it was I saw it and it was the only question I could ask myself is, what more could I want from him? What more could I want Tyrone Sprong to do? He was just overmatched, and the weight difference is kind of too much, and especially in the heavyweight division, that's something you don't want to have to worry about too much. Not unless your skill set is so advanced and you have a certain movement about yourself that you feel like, hey, if things get to wrestling, then you can get yourself out of that situation. But the way this fight went on, it didn't seem like he could get himself out of the situation, and the weight was an issue. The weight of Karatanov was an issue for Tyrone Sprung, and so you got to go back down to light heavyweight, especially when like the class of heavyweight athletes that's coming out nowadays. Guys like Tom Aspinall, Cyril Gahn, those guys. That build is becoming more and more common for a heavyweight. A guy who can deliver the heavy punches, but just as well has enough fleet of foot movement to move around. These guys, they carry that weight, but they can also have enough skill set to kind of move around and keep themselves light. And I don't see Tyrone Sprong keeping up with that class of athlete in heavyweight.
Right, and I can see your point, and that makes sense. And yeah, so good performance for Sergey Karatanov, OG. A guy's been fighting for a long time, since at least the early 2000s. Like I say, he was fighting back in Pride and in the heavyweight division and part of the heavyweight tournaments and stuff, and back in those days. And so he's still winning fights, still having good performances in this stage in the game. So shout out to Sergey Karatanov, one of the great Russian fighters in MMA history. Definitely talk about top 10 Russian MMA fighters, which maybe one day do a list. I might do a list myself. It'll be hard, but Sergey probably on that bomb 10 probably. But yeah, so good victory for him. And this was probably the only UFC fight I was able to check out. Unfortunately, I couldn't check out the other fights. I'm kicking myself because the next fight I really want to see, because it involved an MMA legend, a UFC Hall of Famer, and Rashad Evans, as he defeats Gabriel Chico via unanimous decision, 30-27, all three judges' scorecards. And this is Rashad Evans' first win in MMA since November 2013, UFC 167 against Chael Sonnen.
Yeah, absolutely right. And watching this fight, I gotta let you know, man. Sometimes you see a veteran do veteran things, and you just go like, "That's who he is." This guy, watching Rashad Evans, the first thing I want to note is that the way he presented himself as an athlete, he stayed disciplined. It seemed like the layoff that he had, he may not have been, in the gym full bore, trying to get ready for his next fight. But he maintained a certain discipline to where he was really bragging about the diet he was on. He said he was a fruitarian, essentially, where he's only eating fruits and veggies, like nothing else, just fruits and veggies. But then you saw that when he came into the ring, number one, he had the wind to go all 3 rounds. He had the wind. And number two, once he figured out his opponent, man, that was it. Rashad Evans, so smart. He gets his opponent on the ground because he knows he can wrestle his opponent on the ground. Right there, it's either going for, submissions, going for the rear naked chokes. And if if Chico defended that, then he goes right into ground and pound, landing strikes here and there. Every round was literally a repetition of that first round, the same instance. 10-9 clean all the way through. This was a veteran at its finest, showing you, hey, I don't have to do, I don't have to be super athletic. I just have to know the right amount of skill sets to take care of this guy in front of me. And that's what he did. Salute to Rashad Evans for the one thing I want to salute him above all else is the discipline that he showed when he was not in the ring. He stayed in shape, and you saw that when he was coming back, it wasn't like a last hurrah type of thing, or, you could kind of, I could kind of equate it to what Anderson Silva was doing with boxing. We saw that, he was finished with MMA, and he went on to boxing, but he still treated boxing with a certain respect and came in with a certain discipline. And that's why he was able to showcase a certain amount of skill set. So salute to Rashad Evans, man. That was the OG putting in the work right there. Salute to him. That was a very impressive fight, but not as impressive as this next fight right here. Ray Borg versus Cody Gibson. Ray Borg wins this fight, a unanimous decision. Austin, if if there's anything I can tell you, rewatch this fight. Ray Borg clearly lost round 1. He clearly loses round 1 on the fact that he has the power, but he's not as active as we want him to be. And then when he was starting to get a little active, it looked like he was tuckering himself out. He gets into round 2, and man, a difference a leg kick can make. We always discuss this. The difference a leg kick can make. Ray Borg uses the leg kick. It throws Cody Gibson off. So now Ray Borg is throwing the punches, the combinations. He's moving it. He's mixing in his grappling with his striking. He essentially, for the second round, third round, he made this a dirty MMA fight where it's staying in the clinch, a lot of striking, a lot of wrestling. We separate, but then after that, I want to get right back into the clinch. And Ray Borg showed a tenacity, a grit, a toughness that I gotta salute. This guy, they telling his story how he was counted out of the UFC because of certain defeats that he had, when a lot of his athletic counterparts felt that, you know, it was just a luck of the draw thing, that Ray stayed, you know, he stayed consistent, stayed ready. It was just that the opponents is sometimes having to deal with certain things outside of your control. It is what it is. But now this guy, if this guy continues on the path that he is, I don't care, you know, UFC, Eagle FC, Bellator, PFL, I don't care. I need to see more Ray Borg, because he was gritty and he was a fighter in the truest sense. A guy that just didn't give up. He lost round 1. His corner told him, hey man, you're losing round 1. You need to make an adjustment. He did, and just took over that fight. Round 2, round 3. And it was just all off of grit. I gotta salute Ray Borg. I think that might have been one of the most entertaining fights of the night.
Not surprised that by Ray Borg perform win the fight, because Ray Borg was a pretty good flyweight. I mean, he had some losses here and there, but Ray Borg was always talented. He always fought hard. He wasn't easy out. I mean, he lost to a lot of leagues. Some of the guys he lost to are high level like flyweights. I mean, obviously this is Demetrius Johnson loss. I mean, that flying armbar, or armbar suplex. You get what I mean? But still, I mean, that's Demetrius Johnson. I mean, Ray Borg always came through fights. He was always tough. He always beat a lot of good guys, and I'm not surprised that Ray Borg, who I believe is only 31, like early 30s, he's not that old of a guy.
No,
I don't.
He's not that old, and not only that, with the I always mention this, with the way sports and the way the medicine and technology is advancing in this day and age, an athlete's prime can be extended. Truly be extended to where we're seeing guys that, I'm not saying this is going to happen for every athlete, but we're seeing certain guys able to push the envelope for what a prime can be, how long it can sustain itself. And so like I said, man, with Ray Borg being 31 years old, this was an exciting fight. I cannot wait for the next Eagle FC card that has Ray Borg's name on it.
Definitely, I definitely agree with you there. And you said it was a prelim fight, like a fighter who stood out, who made a name for himself, that impressed you. What was that fight, and who was that fighter?
Okay, just want to the first fight on the main card, Raiman Magomedov versus Anthony Joaquini. That fight was very impressive too, because he ended that right in the first round via strikes. It was efficient. I believe he landed a high kick, then ended it via ground and pound. It was a highlight finish of the night. So salute to Raiman Magomedov. And to me, there's two fighters I want to talk about in the preliminaries. The first fighter I want to give his props to, DeMarcus Jackson versus Miles Hunsinger. That ended in the first round via TKO. This man was fireworks. He was absolutely fireworks in how he got it. Oh my gosh. This was absolutely fireworks. This guy was just, man, I don't know what else to say other than it was just the way he came out. Boom, boom, got the knockout right on top of the cage. He got everyone involved. I'm ready to see more of him. That's the first guy I want to, I really want to salute. But then another person I want to talk about is a guy that's in Daniel Cormier's camp, Sean Bunch. You had to have watched his fight. He was very impressive, but there were certain things that he was doing that kind of just his athletic ability. Here's what I can say: the athletic ability and the skill set that he provides on offense. This guy is a main card, main event type of guy. The defense and the way he allows himself to get wobbled is why he's on the preliminaries.
I see.
And that's what I want to mention in Sean Bunch, especially because the way it's not like he's, when his grappling is excellent. I'll say that. His grappling is excellent. But with his striking, it's not like he's so far behind on the striking that he needs to be taking the gambles that he's taking. He takes unnecessary gambles for me, and he took a lot of shots in this fight that he didn't need to, which is why this fight went to a decision. Sean Bunch, he's a very exciting prospect. Austin, I want you to keep your eyes out for him. Everyone in the chat, I need you guys to keep an eyes out for him because he's exciting. He just needs to clean some things up. And if there's anyone I know who's going to talk to him, watching the tape, letting him know what he did wrong, that's Daniel DC Cormier, double champ.
Yeah,
so I'm looking forward to that.
Yeah, and also Habib, because when Chael Sunday did his preview of the UFC show of Habib, Cejudo, and Usman, Habib was talking about how he was teammates with Bunch at AKA, and that Bunch picked him up, was one of the first people to pick him up when he came to America first time in AKA, and that Sean Bunch had like a good wrestling career in the United States and things like that. So yeah, I kind of heard the name, and also you're right about. I heard the name, so it's kind of familiar when you said Sean Bunch. But yeah, you're right. I think DC and maybe even Habib a little bit more so. DC probably talk to him, tell him what things he needs to work on, improve on, especially striking, things like that. And he may have a bright future ahead of him. Sean Bunch. He can probably may pull off some victory, especially if he fixes the things you mentioned.
All the things that went wrong during that fight, those were things that I felt he could have controlled. And because he could have controlled them, I know those guys are going to be in the tape room with him, letting them know where he went wrong. And they're going to definitely let him know what things he could have done better. Another name I want to just mention just before just letting the video roll is, what is his name again? I just don't want to butcher his name. Ayadi Mejadine.
Okay.
He had a great fight with Satiq.
Mudev?
Mudev. This was an excellent fight. I would just want to show you guys the way these guys were just teeing off on each other. So as you see, these guys that was the first fight of the card. That set the tone. That lets you know the way these guys were throwing leather at each other. And Mejadine, you saw it with him taking the striking and then transitioning straight into the grappling. It wasn't a clean transition, but that's why a guy like him is on the preliminaries. Once that transition gets clean, once those little subtle movements get clean, that's a guy that I believe is going to be on the main card and hopefully fighting for Eagle FC championships and having Khabib Nurmagomedov put belts around his waist. I'm excited for that as well.
Okay, seems like the first show in the United States was a success in your eyes.
It definitely. I know it wasn't. It may not have had a million views and things of that nature, but to the people that watch the Eagle FC card, there were a lot of people that I saw their reviews coming out online on Twitter, in the MMA Reddits and all that, where they just basically said that it was a great card because it wasn't like they were trying to promise us the world. They just said, hey, come on in, enjoy these great fights on a night that fights aren't usually presented. We're not, we're promising that the only thing we can promise is that these two guys that we're going to put out are going to compete to their best ability, trying to finish each other and providing us an entertainment and a real, competitive atmosphere. And that was what happened. And so I'm thankful to Khabib Nurmagomedov for that. I'm thankful to the Eagle FC for putting on a great show. And I'm ready for the next one. Like I said, I'm absolutely ready for the next one.
I think the next one's in March in Miami. I know that's supposed to be Kevin Lee and Diego Sanchez. I know it's supposed to be one in
Yes.
Miami. Yep. Okay.
Yes,
So
that's the one I'm looking forward to as well. Kevin Lee, Diego Sanchez. Diego Sanchez leaving yeah, what you just did.
yeah,
Head
he
scratching
he
trainer.
left that clown Joshua Fabia, which I'm gonna call him that because he is a clown.
He is. The way he ruined certain fighters, especially Diego, but now Diego has a chance against a guy in Kevin Lee who Kevin Lee, he needs to redeem himself after coming off some tough losses in the UFC, especially as a guy who everyone believed is, that next guy. He was the next to have a title put around his waist. So I'm very excited for that fight.
Yeah, definitely, and look forward to Eagle FC for Eagle FC in Miami. Definitely in March, so definitely be interested in that. So won't have to wait too long for next UFC. Good news for us who want to see more of that in the United States. Anyway, but excuse me, we can transition from Eagle FC to Bellator. Bellator had an event in Phoenix, Arizona, and it had a 5-fight main card with the heavyweight title on the line between Ryan Bader, the champion, and Valentin Moldavsky, the interim heavyweight champion. This fight was a very competitive fight and somewhat, and some judges score. Some people, not judges, excuse me. Some people's scorecards who were watching it were mixed, and the judges scored this fight 48-47 for Ryan Bader as he retains his heavyweight title against Valentin Moldavsky. And this fight was very interesting from the first opening bell. Like within 30 seconds, Ryan Bader tags Moldavsky, rocks him again, drops on Moldavsky, but Moldavsky gets up and holds on to Bader, but Bader is able to basically control Moldavsky and take him down the end of the first round, just get some ground and pound as the round ends, so he wins that round. Then, and give credit to Moldavsky, he's shown his last two fights, he can take a punch. Tim Johnson rocked him, but he was able to survive that and win that fight, and then this fight in the first round he gets rocked by Ryan Bader, and you're thinking, oh, this might be a quick night for Moldavsky, but Moldavsky survives, they will hang on, and then he wins round two with takedowns and be able to grappling and be able to hold him down and control the fight. Same thing in round three, and some strikes as well, and on top and going for some submissions. But then, and Ryan Bader looked tired in the end of round three. Actually, it looked like Ryan Bader was starting to gas out. That he was going to be. It looked like he was going to get finished because of his tiredness. But he's in heavyweights. He didn't have to deal with that weight cut he typically does, light heavyweights. And then the fourth round, he gets his second win. He's able to win the fourth round, be able to take Moldavsky down, be able to control him and get some strikes in, especially in the end of that fourth round. And then the fifth round, which is the round that I think is the one controversial round that we're all people debate on. Moldavsky, was able to has had his moments in this round with takedown. Although there was a takedown attempt where Bader went for a takedown, Moldavsky was position, but Bader is on bottom. But yeah, he spin out of it. It was like between 2 and 3 minutes part of the round.
Mm-hmm.
It was kind of impressive, but then Moldavsky was able. I remember at the end, Moldavsky was able to pick up Bader and somewhat slam him at the end of that round. But Bader in the striking part had his moments in that round when it was striking, Bader got the better of Moldavsky in the striking department, and even when Moldavsky was trying to take him down the fence, when Bader's back was on the fence, Bader kept hitting him like this as you can, if you're watching live on YouTube, hitting him on the side like this, if you can see it, and elbows and things like that.
The little punches while he's in close range to the head and to the ear to kind of try and, discombobulate Moldavsky, all while doing damage and trying to catch the judge's eye.
Right, and even went for a Kimura when Moldavsky tried to take him down in one of the attempts as well. But Moldavsky, when he got a takedown, was able to do well. And like I say, he got a takedown at the end. Like I say, he picked him up and slammed him somewhat near the end of the round, which is always something I always love. I always enjoy a good slam in MMA. That's one of the things I really enjoy the most, a slam. But this was a very competitive, tough fight, back and forth. Both guys showed grit, toughness, heart, but at first, this fight, I didn't mind the judge's scorecard. I thought it could go either way. I would not have been upset or won the fight. or rather who the judges would have gave the fight to. And I can see why they gave it to Ryan Bader, because Bader, even though Moldavsky went for more takedowns, it was grappling him. Bader did throw more shots, throw more damage in terms of strikes, where it be stand-up exchanges or when Bader was against the fence and those elbows and short strikes, and also that submission attempt, although it wasn't really there, but still he went for it. I mean, I think I can see why they gave him the 5th round, but I can also see if you think Moldavsky won, I can understand that as well. This was, like I said, an entertaining fight, especially if you like grappling. A lot of grappling exchanges, both guys taking each other down, submission attempts, escapes. And what are your thoughts on this fight, Chef Dan?
This was a very exciting fight. I believe we have some footage right here from. It might have been the first.
Yeah,
that was right there, all in the first round. That let me know I was in for a beautiful night of fighting. That first off, so salute to the Bellator. I tell Austin, I'm slowly but surely starting to reacclimate myself with the Bellator and their roster, things of that nature. So I'm this was exciting for me. The first fight, the first round, like you said, I give it completely to Ryan Bader. I believe that he I know Moldavsky ended up getting a takedown here and there in the middle, but I believe overall Ryan Bader secured that round due to the knockdown and the way he was able to have majority control of that first round. Second, third round, like you said, you got to give it to Moldavsky. The way he controlled through his wrestling and tired out fatigued Ryan Bader, it was very impressive. Something very promising you see, going into the 5th round, going into the championship rounds. Kind of need a guy fatigued. That was a very smart maneuver. 4th round, though, like you said, Ryan Bader, second wind. I agree with you, all that, and it comes up to the 5th round. I got to ask you a question, Austin.
Right.
If you're a judge, comes down to the 5th round, knowing that these two guys are tired, what do you weigh more? Striking or control?
Striking. The only reason why I say striking, if both guys are tired, is because striking has the more potential to do more damage and end the fight versus control. That's the only reason I would choose the striking, because it's close to the finish in the fight, do more damage versus control.
See, like that was probably the thinking that the judges had. At first, watching, when I watched the decision and it was like all 3 judges scored for Ryan Bader, I was a little upset. I felt that Ryan Bader won the matchup. I wasn't in disagreement with the fact that the judges felt that he won it, but I didn't feel like it was a unanimous decision. I thought that if they gave at least, if one judge, voted it Moldavsky, I would have, I don't know, maybe I'm just like the result. I didn't like the results the way they were handed it to me, even though I agreed with the overall arching, storyline. But man, realistically thinking about it, you gotta this is something that I feel what really happened also with the reason why some of the Moldavsky, the people that rooted for Moldavsky and felt that he won this fight, is you're coming off really the freshest memory you have this year for a heavyweight title fight is Ngannou versus Gane. And not just, I'm not saying that, these two guys were similar to those two guys, but what I can say is that Francis Ngannou was able to win his title off of control. Not really damage, control. So now it was like, why couldn't the criteria be the same for Moldavsky?
Right.
I don't know, man. It's
I understand that, but the difference is Gane didn't really do many strikes in that round. I mean, he landed some, but not enough to where it wasn't. He didn't do like enough to where you can sway the judges to be like, oh, well, Gane's trying to do more damage versus it's negating Gane. I mean, not Gane's, Ngannou's control. I mean, I do get where they're coming from. I get where they're coming from. I do understand it though. I can see their argument, but I think that would be probably the counter argument. I mean,
damn. Because now you're making me revisit history now. Do you think Francis for sure won that 5th round against Cyril Gane?
I thought it was a good. I mean, see, I thought it was good enough. I gotta rewatch the 5th round again. See,
Because like now that I'm remembering that 5th round, thinking about it, like how can I penalize one fighter for one thing and not penalize another fighter for another? I know Francis took on, he was he had a lot more control time in that 5th round.
I think that probably is too. He had more control time than Moldavsky did in this fight, so maybe that might be another factor as well.
But then here's my thing: when you say striking, that's the more aggressive approach. That's the guy taking, willing to deal out more damage. Can I not say the same for Cyril Gane, who tried to go for all those heel hooks and the heel locks when he in that 5th round, versus Francis, who just tried to stay on top? And when he noticed that the judge was, like, hey, you need some activity, that's when he started kind of throwing the point punches, not looking for damage, just looking for activity. Like, who was the more aggressive guy in that 5th round?
It's probably Zero.
It's probably Cyril. Like, looking at it now, it's like it's probably Cyril. Francis, all he was thinking was just defense. And so, like, how can I penalize Cyril Gane for, not securing the lock and the champ securing the, the belt versus Moldavsky? I know, like,
it's a tough one. Like I said,
it's a tough one.
It may go back and watch I do need to go back and watch Gane and Ngannou, the 5th round, because to see like maybe how it compares to the 5th round of this fight between Bader and Moldavsky. I mean, I have to. Yeah, you're right. I gotta rewatch it because, I mean, I don't get me wrong. I get where people who think Moldavsky won are coming from. I can understand their argument because I just watched the 5th round prior to us going live on the show. I was watching it. I can see why some people think Moldavsky won. I can see it. But also see why the judges gave it to Ryan Bader as well, because it's a tough one. This was a fight that was hard for the judges to score. It's the announcers say I wouldn't want to be a judge for this fight. I think that's what this fight was.
Yeah, because oh man, all like the 4 rounds previously, they're clear. They're as clear as day. You can present them to who you present them. Coming into that 5th round, man, it's the murkiest round of them all. And that's something, going into the 5th round, at that point, it's like, whose approach do you favor more? And that's what I think that is going on with the judges right now, especially if it's a close fight. If it's a close fight in the 5th round, it's more so going towards whose approach is more favored.
That's true. And yeah, and Ryan Bader, we also learned his next fight is going to be in May in Paris against Czech Congo, a rematch where they fought in 2019. That fight in no context due to eye poke for Bader. I mean, not Bader. Excuse me, Congo couldn't continue, so it's a rematch for both guys. And I was kind of surprised they made that fight so quickly, but then I realized Bader didn't really take too much damage. I mean, yeah, he got wrestled and things like that, but he didn't take a lot of strikes, didn't take a lot of big shots or anything, so maybe it gives enough time to recover and train. That's the positive thing for Ryan Bader, is that he didn't take too much damage.
Most definitely. Plus, Czech Congo, the way he finished off his last opponent, at this point he's earned that right.
Yeah, I mean, it's crazy Czech Congo's record, because I was just looking it up. If I can find it real quick, hopefully my computer don't freeze on me. Shoot, I think it's freezing. Damn, it's freezing. Anyway, Czech Congo's won a lot of his fights. Let's just put that. He's put on a nice run. Considering it looked like when he gained the Bellator, that he was it looked like his end of his UFC run didn't go well. And got him credit for putting on like a decent amount of victories since leaving UFC. And so he's now fighting again for the heavyweight title against Ryan Bader. As my screen is frozen.
It's fine. We're gonna be we're gonna break that down along with the other matchup that was previewed on the card. I believe it's Austin Vanderford versus wow, why is his name escaping me?
Gayer Musasi.
Gegard Mousasi. That's right. That was also announced on the Bellator card as well. So we can save the breakdown of Czech Congo and Bader for when that time comes, because this next fight is a doozy as well.
Yeah, definitely. And also,
Yeah, we just lost Austin for a moment. We're gonna get back in. We're gonna get Austin back, but we're gonna get right into the next fight on the Bellator card. It was Benson Henderson versus Islam Mamedo. Islam Mamedo, very impressive record. I believe after he had one defeat, he went on a 19 or a 20 fight win streak, and so he was kind of hoping to extend the win streak against Benson Henderson. But Benson Henderson was able to eke out this victory via a split decision. Two judges saw it, was it 29-28 Henderson? One judge saw it 29-28 Islam Mamedo. So Henderson goes on to win the fight. Very, very, very impressive showing for both fighters. It was. I even going into some of the stuff that for me what I felt saved Benson Henderson, as Austin is back with us.
sorry
One
about
of the
that.
things that it's cool. One of the things that I felt saved Benson Henderson was his ability to scramble and get out of grappling, and even just not stay complacent on the ground. Because we know that these guys from Dagestan, these guys that are getting trained by Habib Nurmagomedov, these guys they're different. They're a different breed. And when Benson Henderson was able to pull off something like this, yeah, but that's Benson Henderson. He was doing plenty of things like that where he's just rolling with the takedown, and if not, like his wrestling defense was really on display for this fight. This was a really, really, really good fight. The first round, the way he was able to defend all the takedowns, and really, I think the way Benson Henderson won the first round, funny enough, like you said, Austin, through the leg kicks. The Big John said that we know this for a while. We haven't seen Benson Henderson really do the leg kicks, and he was the forefront, the guy at the forefront really pushing the leg kicks, and the reason why all the the MMA fighters to this day now see the benefits of what a leg kick can do if you have it in your arsenal.
Particularly
The first
calf
round,
kick too. Particularly that.
yes, calf kick, yes, really the calf kick, yes. That was where he won the first round. The calf kick and the excellent defense. The second round, I believe Islam Mamedo won that round.
Yeah,
That round, he was a lot more aggressive with his wrestling, a lot more aggressive with his striking. Benson was really just more so on the defensive end, and he wasn't able to really put on any offense. That one, I believe Islam Mamedo took that second round through and through. So now it comes to this third round, and this one I didn't agree with at all. I thought Islam Mamedo got robbed of this fight. I thought he was the more aggressive fighter in the third round. I believe he was way more aggressive than Benson Henderson. I think Benson was more so on the defensive end, and he was just like the way you even saw it in the closing seconds. It's just when Benson's running, he's kind of dodging around, not really staying on one path, kind of not letting Islam Mamedo get comfortable in his attacks and whatnot. And by the time that bell rang, Benson felt relieved, like finally I can get out of here. It's like watching that third round, Islam Mamedo, to me, he provided all the pressure, all the offense, and I thought he got robbed of a fight. What were your thoughts?
I agree with you. Excuse me. Your analysis of the first round, how Benson won because calf kicks and also great submission defense, wrestling defense. Especially, you just showed a clip of him rolling with Islam Mamedo. I mean, that roll was nice. I saw that like, woo, it looked nice. That's impressive to go roll like that and be on reverse position, on top. It's just tip your hat to him. But yeah, those things are why he won the first round. The second round, I agree, Islam won. I think all the judges had the second round for Islam as well. Islam Mamedo won the second round. I do agree. I think Islam did more in that second round, got more takedowns, was able to do more than Benson at all. And the third round was a very close round. Like I said, initially I thought it was a fight where I thought Islam won, but I was okay with Benson getting the victory if it came down, because I thought the third round was the thing with Islam. I think the third round he kind of was too. He didn't show enough. Not he was too passive. He wasn't like aggressive or like pushing the tempo. It was almost like, I don't want to say complacent's the right word, but you get what I mean, though, right, Dan?
Yeah, I understand. He didn't push the envelope to where you wanted, because it's the third round. It's 1-1. You don't want to leave this really in the referee's hands. You don't want to leave this in the judge's hands. You want to put out the effort to show that I wasn't really trying to leave it in your hands. If it got to that way, it's 9 times out of 10 because this guy's defense is really good. But I felt like between Islam and Benson, I thought Islam was the guy that really, he was more of the aggressor in the third round than Benson. And I didn't want to give Benson the third round just because his defense was really good.
Yeah, but I think also Benson did go for submission attempts in that round, where I feel like Islam was just too okay being on top and not really doing too much in that fight. And like I said, because if you remember, his last fight, Bellator, was against Brett Primus, which was not exactly the most pleasing fights. In that fight, he kind of was just coasting. I don't want to say coasting. That's probably that's the wrong word. Coasting's not the right word. But like he didn't. It was like just like not let. It was almost like being too cautious. Almost like just doing enough. And I get Brett Primus to go off his back, but still, like Islam Mamedo, he's coming off that fight, Brent Primus, and then some people thought he lost that fight to Brent Primus, and now he's doing something similar against Benson Henderson, who's been known to win a lot of these split decision fights too. If you look at his career, going back to UFC, I think he beat Frankie Edgar for a split decision for the lightweight title, and he's got several fights like that. I feel like Islam's like demeanor, Mamedov's demeanor, excuse me, pronounce that word right, demeanor, basically going out there, and if he had just been more aggressive and like really thrown more strikes at least, and I get Benson's wrestling defense is really good, if he just done that or at least 10 for submission, maybe it's possible he probably would have got out of Arizona with victory, and maybe a possible title fight next, considering if he beat Benson Henderson, it's not. He probably moves up to, the rankings and probably be next for that title. Considering Usman Nurmagomedov, his teammate who was in his corner, has his I don't know what his legal issue is, because I know he got in trouble for hitting a police officer in Russia via car. So we don't know what if it looks like resolved, because he was there in Arizona in his corner. So it seems like maybe that's taken care of to Usman.
It may be, it may not be. We don't know, really what the situation is. But one thing I can agree with you is that Islam Mamedo had the opportunity tonight to really, if he won this convincingly, if he took, if he was the really truly, how do I say it? If he was even more aggressive than what he showed in that third round, instead of being like, I could liken it somewhat to the complacency he showed in the first round. I can say that. I can admit that. If he was a lot more aggressive, then I'd say then he would have definitely won that fight. He would have taken the fight from the judge's eyes. But yeah, man, this is something you don't do yourself. You don't do yourself a service if you're not, out here capitalizing every moment you can. And especially if you have a co-main event. You're the co-main event on the first Bellator card of the year. You had
from a big arena too, where the Phoenix Suns play. I think it was like at least almost sold out. I don't know if it was sold out, but it looked close to full capacity.
Most definitely. Along with having, I know, Ryan Bader, hometown kid. He's from there. That's part of the reason why the the place filled up. But Benson Henderson is also a hometown kid, and that's one of those things where I felt like if you had the opportunity to kind of you make a statement. You not only silence him, but you silence the crowd around him. When you have it to a point where they want to root for the hometown kid, but they know they can't because this other guy is so good, that's when you really make a statement.
Yeah. And speaking of statements, like Benson Henderson, I know is a free agent. This was his last fight in a Bellator deal. I mean, who knows what he does next? I mean, I don't know. I don't know if Bellators want to re-sign him. Maybe they might, maybe not. Maybe him, Eagle FC might be a good option considering Habib was in the corner and they were talking. I mean, I don't know. I mean, I'm pretty sure they weren't talking about that, but still, I mean, or do you think maybe he should retire considering this was probably one of Benson's better performances in his recent fights? Within the last 5 fights, it's probably one of his better performances. I mean, it's hard to tell someone retire. I know it's gonna be hard.
Yeah, and not only that, but here's the thing with the way a fighter is geared, man. He's coming off of a victory off of a guy that had a 20-0 run.
He hadn't lost since July of 2009. I think he had won 20 fights too.
20 fights in a row, and that you beat that guy. It kind of as much as he would love to go out on top, I know there's that part of him that tells him, man, you just did it once, you could probably do it again.
Yeah.
I'm not too sure. I am welcome to whatever happens for Benson Henderson in the future. I'm willing to watch it, whether if he's continuing fighting, or let's say he decides to go in the booth and be a pundit and really help break down these fights. I'd love to hear from him as well too, because he's a very smart individual.
He is, and like I said, he's a very smart. He is a smart individual, and like I said, usually an entertaining fight. Most part, Benson Henderson's put on some really good fights over the years, whether it be WEC, UFC, or even Bellator. He's had some good Bellator fights, like him and the first Michael Chandler fight was pretty entertaining. Even this fight was pretty entertaining as well. But yeah, definitely shout out Benson Henderson, definitely a legend in the sport, and a guy who was the UFC lightweight champion. Sometimes gets overlooked, unfortunately, but definitely deserves his flowers and praise for what he's done in the sport.
So with that,
go ahead.
Yeah, I mean, with that being said, we can move on to the next fight. This fight ended in the 3rd round via a decision. It was a technical decision due to an unintentional eye poke. Henry Corrales versus Aiden Lee. Henry Corrales wins the fight. Aiden Lee was the one that got poked in the eye, and so he couldn't continue the fight. They just judged the fight based on what presented itself on the first 2 rounds. And so, yeah, that's how they judged the fight. I'm not in disagreement with this decision at all. Aiden Lee really had nothing for Henry Corrales all throughout this fight. And when he got poked in the eye, I'm not going to say that. He got poked in the eye and he couldn't continue the fight. But whether he could have or not, he was fighting an uphill battle.
Yep.
Going into that 3rd round, he was fighting an uphill battle. Henry Corrales had definitively taken those first 2 rounds. So it's not much more that I could say based on that. I want to get right into the first fight on the main card.
Yes.
First fight. Sabah Hamasi versus Jaleel Willis. Sabah Hamasi wins this fight. First round, arm triangle choke. But ladies and gentlemen, the way he did it is impressive. We got some clips. Here you go. Sabah Hamasi, man. It was, I don't remember how we previewed this fight.
I think you said this had potential to be like definitely set a tone. I think you said something like that. I think you did.
Yeah, but this really did set the tone. But not just for the card, but this sets the tone for Sabah Hamasi's year going forward.
It does.
Number one, I don't think he took any damage on this fight. Or if he did, it was minimal damage. Something, after rest and recuperation for a couple of days, maybe onto, even going on to a few weeks, he'll be set. Number two, as far as Jaleel Willis, there was nothing, NOTHING, nothing Jaleel Willis could do with Sabah Hamasi. If he wanted to go with the hands, Sabah Hamasi had him dead to right. And then the grappling, we saw that he's getting an arm triangle choke and securing it. This was an incredible performance by Sabah Hamasi. Incredible performance. This was OMG incredible. I enjoyed every bit of this. What were your breakdowns on this?
This was very incredible performance by Hamasi. Hamasi really looked great. I mean, it looked like Willis had nothing for him. Jamal Willis had nothing for him. I mean, Jaleel, had nothing for him. I mean, like I said, I think Hamasi throws a kick. Like, Willis catches it, tries to do a spinning elbow or spinning back fist, something like that, and Hamasi just grabs him, just I think throws a punch that drops him or hurts him, and then he picks it up and slams him. Which, like I said, there's two things I love. There's two things my two favorite things in MMA that I love: a body shot and that really big impact, and a slam. I always love those things forever. But you like them too. Can you say something?
What? Man, when Francis slammed Cyril Gahn, that was, oh man, we needed to see that. That was beautiful. That was absolutely beautiful, man. The way he did that was just, and DC, whenever he slammed someone, it was beautiful. He wanted to drop them not on their shoulder, but on their head, like dunking on them. Just drop them on their head. That's violence perfected right there, man.
Yes, you're definitely right. Yes, definitely. And he slammed him, and then basically was just able to control the ground, throw some strikes, and then able to. Oh, hang on. Hey, how you doing, Robert Parr? Great to see you again.
Robert Parr, salute to you.
Chat.
Thank you so much for supporting us.
Great to see you, Robert.
I love seeing a fighter get slammed on their head. That's, oh man, and we don't have enough. I don't know. Maybe it's becoming more and more popular, right? That the wrestlers, if they really have full control over a guy, they won't slam him over the head. What they'll do is they'll lift him up, bring them all the way to their corner, all the way to that fighter's corner, and then slam them down and just hold them there while they're receiving instruction from their corner about how to hold down this guy. So when you see, when you see something like that, it's like, okay, that's cool, that's a manipulation. But then to slam someone on their head, man, that's
you're right.
That's a statement in itself.
Hamasi didn't slam Willis on his head, but he still picked him up as it was slam him, which I love, and then just it would get the arm triangle like very decisively, and it was like that. It was over, like slamming. He went for a rear naked, didn't work, and then he switched body, changed his body position, still flatten out Willis, and then just get arm triangle, make him tap with it. Like, so it was so quick too. It was just a dominant, great, spectacular. What a way to kick out the new year for Hamasi. And that Hamasi, like I said, his Paul Daly fight, that was not his last fight, but it was second last fight. It was entertaining. He lost the fight. He still had great moments in that fight before Paul Daly knocked him out. So Hamasi's definitely has had potential, has shown he can have great fights. And now he's training American Top Team, so maybe he can start putting on a run, considering how good American Top Team is. Especially since American Top Team's got some really good welterweights and fighters in Bellator as well. Well, they got great fighters in all the promotions. Let's be honest: UFC, Bellator, UFC probably, etc. Ryzen, everybody. Yeah.
Oh yeah. American Top Team, they got some killers in the stable.
Yes. Definitely, and but yeah, great job by Hamasi. Great performance by him.
So with that being said, I just want to ask you: is there any fight on the preliminaries that you saw that maybe a fighter stuck out to you and you felt like, hey, this guy, I'm excited to see more of this guy fighting?
I didn't check out too many of the primaries. Wait. There was one. Chris Gonzalez versus Saad Awad versus head kick. Yes, head kick. I mean, 36 seconds. It was in and out.
That one was that was knockout of the night. Knockout of the night. I'm looking forward to seeing more Chris Gonzalez. That was something that I put the preliminaries, ladies and gentlemen, in case you guys ever, want to know when Bellator is hosting their events. The preliminaries is always available on YouTube for free. You can watch the preliminaries for free on YouTube. Just type in Bellator the night that the event is happening, and they'll have the preliminary post right there, and you guys can check it out. But man, that was one of the fights where, I'm watching it and I'm kind of, I had to do something else. So I'm trying to pay attention to something else. I'm like, let me this, that, whatever. And then it quick in an instant flash. And I just see this guy celebrating on top of the cage. So I'm like, they got to do a replay for me. I got to replay it and I got to pull this stream back to watch it again. And it was excitement to its fullest. Salute to you, Chris Gonzalez, knockout of the night. And you got knockout of the year so far right now. I got to give that to him.
So far. Well, we just see, but definitely is in contention. It's crazy. The knock. I was just rewatching it on my phone. It was Mirko Cro Cop style. Mirko freaking Cro Cop. This right foot hospital, left foot cemetery. That's what it was known for, because Cro Cop's left head kick was known for knocking dudes out, and yes. It wasn't the perfect technique too, but still hit it. It was over, dropping dudes left and right, and he did just like Cro Cop. Like, if you don't believe me, go back and watch the fight. Like, you can find a knockout on YouTube, and watch it. Like, it was left high kick and the foot positions the way Cro Cop used to do it. It was Cro Cop-esque. Like, if you hear Cro Cop, be proud. I'm going, wow. See that.
I don't know. Maybe he sees that and he's like Kareem with the hook shot. He just feels that, only he perfected it, and this guy, I don't know, whatever. But that was excellent technique right there by Chris Gonzalez. The way he got his leg up, finished the fight. It was beautiful, beautiful finish right there.
Love it. Shout out to Chris Gonzalez. And that was a great knockout. Check it out. Like I said, you can find it on YouTube. Watch it. It's that good.
Yeah, definitely that good. You guys could go check it out. For me, if there was anyone that I wanted to, you took the name that I had. Oh man,
I don't think there's anybody else besides.
You know what? Well, no, yeah, I gotta give this guy props. Sullivan Carley. He got the knockout on Ben Parrish in the first round.
You're right.
I remember Ben Parrish, Big Tuna, Ben Parrish, when he, after he got that first knockout, he was telling people he was a problem in Bellator. He got another victory, and coming into this fight, I was kind of, I was more bullish on him, thinking that he was going to secure this, but Sullivan was able to secure that knockout in the first round. So salute to him.
Yeah, that's right. Sullivan, that's right. Dang. Shout out to him as well. I was rooting for Big Tuna, but I gotta give his opponent Sullivan credit for doing his job and taking care of business. Can't be mad at that.
Most definitely. I mean, so with that being said, Austin, I think we pretty much wrapped up this Bellator card and everything that it has to offer. From there, once again, we're always excited. We're gonna discuss more of the Bellator bouts that are coming up. We have Austin Vanderforth versus Gegard Mousasi coming up. We have Ryan Bader versus Czech Congo coming up. We do know that the Grand Prix for the
lightweight
excuse me, say that one more time.
The light heavyweight Grand Prix.
Light heavyweight Grand Prix and the Grand Prix that has excuse me, what's his name? He just had the impressive victory over Kyoji Horiguchi.
Oh, the Sergio Pettis, the bantamweights.
Yes, the bantamweights. That's another Grand Prix that we see coming up. So as soon as Bellator releases those cards, because not only that, Bellator, I'm watching you. I know you said it. I'm making sure that you keep your word. You said main events, all the main event fights starting this year, right? 5 rounds.
We'll find out in 2 weeks, cause for the Vanderpoor and Gamer Masasi fight, it's gonna be a card Bellator headlined by Logan Story versus Neiman Gracie. So that should be the first 5-round non-title main event in Bellator history.
I'm excited to see that.
Me too.
I think the class of competition. I think with certain guys, I don't know. Maybe you don't do this with every guy, and I think Bellator is going to learn this. You're not going to do this with every guy, but if you get a certain class of competition, together to share that octagon, those guys, regardless of whether they're fighting for a title or a title contendership, the amount of skill set they have, let them have the full 5 rounds.
Yes, I agree with that.
I mean, so with that being said, I want to jump right into the UFC Fight Night that's gonna happen this Saturday. This Saturday, February 5th. It's gonna start off at 4 p.m. It is headlined by Jack the Joker Hermansson versus Sean Strickland in the middleweight division. Austin, I'm telling you right now, this is gonna end up very, very bloody. Very bloody. I expect if Sean Strickland, if he wins, he's gonna have some line about how if he wasn't doing this, he was dealing meth somewhere with a gun on him or something like that, because this guy is crazy. I'm watching him spar, getting ready for this fight, the way he's sparring. No headgear, taking shots to the head, moving forward. That's who Sean Strickland is. I am looking forward to this. Is gonna be a bloody event. What are you seeing on your side?
Yeah, Sean Strickland's a crazy MFer. Straight up. He just is. Like I say. He is. I mean, nutty. Dude, I won't say the word. I can't say the freaking word. But anyway, I don't know. But yeah, it's crazy. It's pretty AF. I mean, Sean Strickland's a freaking nutty guy. I mean, it's for he's sparring with Francis Ngannou. Want to spar with him. And then you got, sparring Ngannou. Ngannou's Ngannou. We all know his power. I mean, touches you, just drop like that.
Yeah, for Sean to be wanting to spar with the heavyweight champ, the guy who's known as the Predator, one HKO, you shouldn't be wanting to do that. Kelvin T. Jones, salute to you, supporting us not only in the Knicks chat, but now in the MMA chat. Thank you so much, man.
But yeah. Oh yeah, they compare me to my dad. Yes, I know that.
But Sean Strickland, he's highly eccentric. Let's say that. He's highly eccentric.
Yeah, there's other stories about him, like sparring guys, he likes to be the guy who likes to go out there and just bang with his teammates and stuff, train and sparring, go crazy with his teammates and stuff. Yeah, he's like you said, eccentric. That's probably the right word.
That is the only way to really describe him without cursing too much or too much expletives, because this guy he's one big ball of energy. He's just a different individual altogether. And this fight, I'm telling y'all, Robert Parr, Kelvin T. Jones, I'm letting y'all know right now. You gotta be in tune for this fight Saturday night, UFC. You guys gotta watch this main event. If you guys expect some high skilled, all that, that's not happening. These guys want to bloody each other up. That's all they want.
Oh, Robert Parr, answer your question. Can Sean Strickland fight? Yes, he can, because Sean Strickland has a record of 24-3. Matter of fact, he's in middleweight, which is his current weight class, at 185. He's undefeated. He's never lost a middleweight fight ever. He's 19-0 in middleweight, 185. His 3 losses were at welterweights at 170. And to me, he's like an example of a guy who going up in weight has benefited him. There's a story like Robert Whittaker going up from 170 to 185. Look what he's done. He's gonna fight for the world title. He'll get his rematch for the world title, next Saturday. And excuse me, sorry about that. But anyway, Sean Strickland, like I said, an example of guys going up a weight class, sometimes being better off than staying in the weight class they're in right now. Guys like him, Robert Whitaker, Anthony Rumble Johnson, probably a great example of that, of anyone in MMA history. But yeah, and Sean Strickland's a great fighter and definitely a guy who's a rising contender, but we can't sleep on the joke of Jack Hermansson. Cannot do that at all. Jack Hermansson's got great submission. I mean, Jack Hermansson's probably going to want to take it to the ground and really keep it there because Jack probably feels like he's got an advantage over Sean Strickland in the grappling exchanges. And we know how good Jack is a grappler. If you mess around that, hit Jack and submit you or do damage on them while in the grappling exchange. So if you're Sean Strickland, you gotta keep it standing. Keep it standing, you got a great chance of knocking Hermansson out. Because we've seen Hermansson get knocked out when the fight's standing. Jared Cannonier, for example, in that fight.
Most definitely, I agree with you 100%. This is one of the fights where I feel like Jack is probably going to want to wrestle early. That way, he's not having to deal with a sweaty Sean Strickland, and that'll be even harder for him to kind of just get those locks and get the advantage he wants. But in the same note, what Sean Strickland has got to know is that if he's inviting that wrestling early, that means he's coming in range. He's going to be in the pocket. You got to be willing to, if he's going to be in the pocket, take some time. Maybe, I know as much as he wants to advance forward, sometimes it's best to maybe take a sidestep, come in at an angle. From there, you can really catch him. You don't have to worry too much with the wrestling. If you're changing angles, he can't really get a good beat on you if you're not moving straight back and forth, things of that nature. That's what's really going to help him. So, I'm going to tell you right now, I got Sean Strickland winning this fight via KO.
I mean, I don't know, because I can see Hermansson, like probably getting submission on him, especially second, third round. At their grappling exchanges and may time a little bit. But I can see Sean Strickland knock him out too. Like I said, maybe he gets up, maybe he's able to get out of grappling exchange. Maybe he's able to catch Hermansson while Hermansson's trying to get, grab a hold of a limb or try and go for a takedown something. I can see that also. I know Sean trains with like I said, he's Ngannou. He trains the same gym as Ngannou. They're not sparring partners regularly. I don't think so, but still. They train with Eric Nixick, who's a very underrated coach, who's proven to be very valuable at, I think it's Extreme Couture, right?
I believe, yes, Extreme Couture, yes.
Yes, he's keeping the legacy of that gym alive. That gym was very prominent after Ring Couture founded it, then went down a little bit, but then it's definitely rising up again, Extreme Couture. So definitely, like I said, good coach in Eric Nixick. Definitely someone that doesn't get enough attention or love sometimes. Oh, I think recently it's starting to change, but definitely it's great. Give him a shout out, Eric Nixick.
Most definitely. The work he's doing with Francis. And I just, in regards to the change that Francis made in his corner, we saw that come through fruition in the fight with Cyril Gane. Cyril Gane having Francis's old, corner mates and all that, the people who were taking care of him, and Francis having a new direction. And Cyril, I believe, is way more skilled than Francis, but we saw later on in that fifth round, you and me had that discussion where we felt that the advice given to Cyril Gane was not very helpful at that moment.
It wasn't good.
Yeah, and so now, and it's a beautiful thing, though, is with the UFC miking up some of these coaches, and we're hearing the way they're advising some of their fighters, it gives avenues for these guys to help, build up revenue in their gym. So they're not only dependent on just the fighter, they can have people come in because they know, hey, this guy is a great, teacher, a great mentor, and he was able to really calm down this professional fighter. So I'm all the way for, the way the UFC has presented some of these coaches, allowed these coaches to present themselves. And I'm all for Strickland getting this KO Saturday.
Right. Oh yeah, another thing I can see possibly for Jack Hermansson, doubt it. He can get a TKO possibly if his grappling exchanges, exhaust Sean Strickland. I can see him, getting TKO him, because due to the exhaustion, where Sean can't respond, he just takes too many shots, and then the referee has to step in because Jack Hermansson in the UFC has got a decent amount of TKO victories. in the UFC. If you look at his fights against Brad Scott, Alex Nicholson, etc., and Tyus Late's TKO victories. So that's a possible something to watch out for. So it's a possibility because I don't think Jack's gonna strike with him too much. I mean, I'm not saying that he doesn't work on his striking, but I think Sean's the better striker of the two.
And it would be better if Jack was to just mix up the wrestling and the striking. That way he has Sean on the back foot. If you have Sean Strickland on the back foot, you're better serving yourself for a fight. Sean Strickland moving forward is not a good thing for you.
Mm-hmm.
I mean, so with that being said, I want to get right into this co-main event. Austin, you'd probably have to tell me, any of these guys, Punahele Soriano versus Nick Maximov.
See, the name of this card is that there's a lot of unknown names in this card. It's not a lot of people that think I recognize. I mean, there's some fighters that people might have a hard time recognizing. And the name next, Nick Maximov, excuse me, I've heard that name, but I don't recall
I know why you've heard of it. He's fighting out of the Nick Diaz Academy.
That's why, yes, of course. Nick 209, Diaz 209, yes.
Mm-hmm.
Cool.
So he's gonna be representing Nick Diaz. Well, not really representing Nick Diaz, but essentially representing Nick Diaz.
Diaz
and Punahele Soriano, he comes out of Extreme Couture.
So Nick's gonna be busy that night.
Mm-hmm. This is gonna be wow. This is gonna be very, very interesting. Punahele Soriano, he's coming off of a loss to Brendan Allen in in 2021, roughly around July 24th. But prior to that, he had a victory against Dusko Todorovic, and Dusko is a guy that I believe is on the rise, up and up. He's a great striker in the UFC, so he was able to beat Dusko Todorovic via striking. This is going to be a heavy striking matchup.
Probably, yes. You're probably right. If you mentioned about Soriano and then obviously Nick on Maximov being a guy, Diaz. 300 with the Diaz brothers. I'm pretty sure his striking works on striking a lot. But it might have jiu-jitsu. Might pull up a jiu-jitsu move. It may shock you.
Most definitely.
But I'm sorry, go ahead.
No, I was saying agreeing with you 100%. Nick Maximov right now, out of all the victories he has as far as professional fighting, it's either a decision or a choke. Because this guy I'm seeing his record right now, he spends a lot of his time in submission underground. So he's probably looking to take it to the ground. That's his best bet. Versus Soriano, he's looking to make this a striking matchup. Striker versus a grappler, we'll see who gets the edge on that fight.
Yeah, definitely. It's a gold classic matchup. And what was the fight I do want to talk about? Before we do that, I do want to answer Kelvin's question in the chat, which is, who is the best pound fighter in your guys' opinion? Right now, I mean, who would you? Oh, my bad. Who would you? Dang.
Right now for me, it's got to be Kamaru Usman. It has to be. And I know he against the Colby Covington, the second Colby Covington fight, we saw that he was really on the defense in the wrestling. But if you followed Kamaru Usman's career, you know that he started off an offensive wrestler. He had to learn to get better with his hands. Now he's really, really, really good with striking, to a point that he's falling in love with it. And Colby almost got one over on him with the wrestling, but he was able to remember enough defensive wrestling to keep the fight right back to striking, and there he was getting the best of Colby. Clean, man. This guy is the grappling, he's really, really good. Striking, he's really, really good. Kamaru Usman can promote a fight, really, really good. He's man, all around. I think he's all around pound for pound the best. He may not be the best promoter as far as in regards to a Conor McGregor and things of that nature, but he knows how to sell a fight well enough to have me interested.
That's a what's his weight, Kelvin? He's 170. He's 170 welterweight. It's different from
Welterweight.
boxing, yeah.
Yeah, but he has been rumored to move up to light heavyweight.
Like, I know. Stop disrespecting Jan, man. They gotta stop disrespecting Jan Blachowicz. These people, stop doing that.
Jan ain't the champion. You're disrespecting Glover.
No. Because Kamaru said when Jan was the champion that he wanted to fight Jan Blachowicz. That's why I mentioned Jan.
Oh,
It wasn't about Glover. It was when Jan was the champion. You want to fight Jan Blachowicz. That's why I mentioned Jan. I mean, Glover's. I love Glover.
Yeah, this is my thing. Watching the way Kamaru's doing his thing, it's not far fetched to me.
I disagree. I think it would be. I think there is a fight.
So
yeah, we'll talk about for another day.
Let's talk about that for another day. Let's get right into this third fight.
Oh yeah, let me answer Calvin's question.
Oh yes, that's right. Who is your pound for pound best fighter?
I have to agree, Kamaru. I mean, I was thinking, other guys who may be in contention. I thought Charles Oliveira deserved some recognition considering the win streak he's on and what he's done against Chandler and Ferguson and Chandler. So and then Poirier deserves some recognition, and also Israel Adesanya. Obviously, that Jan Blachowicz lost us, hurt him because if he didn't lose to Jan, I think he would be clear cut pound for pound number one if he hadn't lost to Jan Blachowicz. But yeah, Kamaru definitely. I think right now, I think Kamaru because he's defended the belt multiple times. He's on a long win streak. He's done. He's defeated Masvidal twice. He's defeated Gilbert Burns. Defeated Kobe. He's defeated Damian Maia. We did etc. And and basically. Yeah, I think he's definitely improving in striking department. He's got, they say he's not an offensive wrestler like he used to be, but he's still a great wrestler. And he's using more for defense, and he's definitely improving striking with Chert Whitman. So I think Kamaru at the moment currently is the pound for pound number one.
Yeah, I agree with you 100%. Another thing too is he's on the he's currently active. That's why we also give him, pound for pound. You have to be active. We're not giving it to guys like GSP because, the run he did. But what I can say is another reason why Kamaru is being looked at is because he's on a GSP like run right now, where he's kind of gone through the division, and the guys that the only names they could bring him are guys that he's defeated before already. Because the other guys the other guys that are 5 through 10 and 10 through 15, they haven't done enough yet to crack and bring in a new rotation, and that's why it's for me it's Kamaru Usman.
Yeah, definitely. Yeah, I agree there. I think we both have Kamaru number one at the moment. We answered the question, so we can go. What you were gonna say? You were mentioning which fight again? I'm sorry.
We're going right into this third fight. It is Shavkat Rakhmonov versus Carlston Harris. I'm not even gonna lie. I'm being a little bit biased here. Carlston Harris was very, very impressive the last time I saw him. I don't remember who he fought. Oh man, I gotta look it up. He defeated someone very impressively. Who was it? Yes, Impa Kasagane. That's who he bought. That's who he defeated. Impa Kasagane, and this was coming off Impa having a very a highlight reel finish, and he came off of a fight of the night bonus. He was coming in hot, and this guy was he came in, he did what he had to do. He finished him within the first round, and the way he did it was just. It was off of skill. He had the power, but really it was in a way that Impa really couldn't touch him. And if you wanted to. Couldn't tackle him, nothing. Couldn't, grapple him even if you wanted to, because he just purely outclassed him. So based off of what I saw from Carlston the last time, for me, I'm biasly going with Carlston.
Okay, I'm not too familiar. Like I said, Carlston Harris. Like I heard the name. I think I might have watched him, but I don't know enough to break him down. And Southcat Rogomanov. Not too familiar with him either. It's like there's a lot of guys that like not too familiar with. I think for some people, they probably look in and go, "Yeah, I don't recognize them." I think it's gonna be like that for a lot of fans this weekend. However, there's a fight I am interested in. It's Sam Alvey versus Brendan Allen, the light heavyweight division. The reason why is because Sam Alvey, surprisingly, is still in the UFC, despite the fact that, excuse me, dang, he's brought up burps. I don't know why, but anyway, has in his last 7 fights is 0-6-1, one draw, and no contacts, is and lost 6. So the UFC doesn't keep guys around like that. They just don't. Normally, if you lose a certain amount, like 3 in a row, they usually cut you, typically. And it's surprised that Sam Alvey's still here. And going against someone like Brandon Allen, who I don't know if that's exactly a guy that is going to help him break this losing or non-win skid that he's had recently.
I'm not gonna lie. I remember Sam Alvey's last matchup and the way he thought he won, but it was kind of just off of points and whatnot. I hate to sound like that guy, but I'm kind of rooting for Brendan Allen in this fight.
It rubbed you the wrong way how Sam Alvey reacted.
It did, and because like the way he was truly non-competitive in that fight. It was just really a lot of points. It was all for the points, and maybe he didn't believe in his power, but then there were moments where he landed powerful shots that wobbled his opponent. But then right after that, he's backing up and going right into points and things of that nature. And it just felt, I don't know, maybe there's some information that the UFC is privy to that we don't know about, that maybe he's, the last 6 fights, even though he's been losing them, they've been opponents that they've been struggling finding a guy to fight them with. And Sam Alvey, whenever they called him, he's like, yes, yes, yes. And that's why Dana White has kept him around.
I mean, I guess that makes sense. I do know that I just like 2 of his losses are split decisions, so maybe that helps his KB. Not even despite how you feel, maybe that helps because he's not getting dominated, but still, I'm surprised still in the UFC despite going 0-6-1, one draw. So that's kind of surprising. And like I said, I don't like the Brandon Allen matchup for him. I think that's going to be a tough matchup for him. I think Brandon Allen's good. Go ahead.
No, you're absolutely right. It is a tough matchup, but he's put himself in this situation that the last time we saw Sam Alvey, it did not look good. So now the class of opponent has to be a little bit. Excuse me. Dang, brother, what did you do to me? But if the class of opponent has got to be a bit higher, and he's got to be the wins for Sam Alvey has got to be way more convincing.
Yeah, you're right about that.
So now with that, before we get into the next fight, Kelvin T. Jones has asked this fighter, pound for pound, man, female fighter. Who's yours?
Well, I'm going. Cyborgs. You know what? I'll give it slightly Valentina Shevchenko. Valentina, the bullet.
Kelvin, if you've never heard of Valentina Shevchenko, that is she. Whew, I'm telling you, brother, she is. She's a most skilled woman I've ever seen in the MMA ring. Yeah. If it's striking, she can do it with the best of them. If it's grappling, she can do it with the best of them. If you want dirty MMA fight, she can do it with the best of them. If you want clean strikes full of skill and where we're just going to stay in each other, we're going to stay in the pocket and we're trying to guess each other's moves, and we're not really, we're not striking where the opponent is, but where we think the opponent will be, she can do all of that. Like, she's in that realm of GSP, man. That's the only thing I could. Every time she comes out and thinks that, we can't do it. Like every time she comes out and we think that she can't be better than what she showed us last time. She does, and she is.
Yes. I mean, these last couple of fights of her, she's like elevated her game, become better. It's like wow, like geez. And like I said, she's won different ways. She's won via like ground and pound strikes. She's won decisions, submission. She submitted Julia Pena, who's the 135 champion right now, back in 2017, and also she head kick knockout. I mean, there's ways she wins. I mean, that's the beautiful thing about Valentina. She wins in so many ways. It's remarkable. Like I said, and she definitely fits the mold of a Soviet spy. What you expect a Soviet spy look like, or Russian spy look like.
Most definitely, Kelvin, you're absolutely right. The one we're talking about is the champion who has a sister named Antonina Shevchenko. She also fights in the UFC as well. Yeah, Valentina Shevchenko. She's pound for pound for me, man. Like Austin said, if there is a way to win the matchup, she's shown that she can do so.
Yeah, it's remarkable, definitely.
Very remarkable. I mean, so with that being said, we can get right into this next fight on the main card. It is Sean Gore versus Brian Pooh Bear battle.
I remember this guy. Brian Battle. That awful nickname. He has a great name, but that nickname, gosh.
Brian Battle, great name, but then you ruin it with your fighter's name of Pooh Bear. And this has nothing to do with the skill set he displayed the last time we saw him. I believe it was for the Contender Series where he won. It was a very impressive battle he had. He fought back from losing the first round. Ended up not really dominating, but more so taking sound control of the second and third round. Doing it via ground and pound, doing it via kind of striking, things of that nature. Brian Battle was very impressive. Then we find out his name is Pooh Bear.
Yeah, I know. Got a great submission in his last fight, and then it's Pooh Bear. It's like...
It was a gritty fight. He had to, he came back out bloodied up, with swollen eye, all of that. We're like, man, this guy, awesome, gritty fighter. Pooh Bear.
Worst nicknames in MMA history. And there's some bad ones. I mean, 25-8, Corey Anderson, just saying. But good fighter. Like I said, skill. Brian Battle's got skill. Definitely someone a rising contender in the in the middleweight division. But also he's going against Tracy Gore, who's 3-0. So these are guys who have not too much experience, but they're both. But I think, hang on, Gore's making his UFC debut, so this is his debut in the UFC, whereas Battles already had has a UFC fight. So it's interesting to see how the UFC jitter, especially someone with low experience like Gore has, probably gets in more so than someone who's at like points going to debut in UFC. So to me, that's going to be interesting if the jitters are there for Gore and it affects him against Brian Battle.
I agree with you 100%, and I don't know. I think due to the matchup that's happening beforehand, I don't think the fans will truly appreciate what's happening in this matchup between Brian in the matchup that's going to happen between Brian Battle and Sean Gore. But it's two guys that are up and coming. One guy making his UFC debut, the other guy already has. So the as far as the feel for the Octagon, the feel for the feel for the crowd, the feel for being in that certain moment when the lights hit you, things of that nature. I think Brian Battle is going to deal with it way better than Sean Gore. And from that point, we may see, I don't know, if Brian Battle has been, consistent, working really hard, all that, we may see a guy that essentially may have the opportunity to dominate a guy who's making his UFC debut, all because the bright lights may sometimes, just stun him.
Right. Yeah, and plus he also has twice the fight experience than Gore. Gore is 3-0. Battle is 6-1. So this will be Gore's 4th fight. Battle's 8th fight. So he already has twice of that experience. as gore. So that's also something to watch out for.
Most definitely. So with that being said, I'm watching that. I'm watching that fight. I kind of have to. I have rooting interest for Brian Battle because that's who I saw last, and the way he fought, regardless of the silly nickname, I believe that he is a great fighter, and I'm looking forward to more of him. But this first fight on the main card, Steven Peterson versus Julian Erosa in the featherweight division. This is going to be high octane. This is going to be highly skilled. Keep the replay on, and you guys are going to want to listen to the commentators because we're going to miss a lot. These guys are very fast, especially Julian Erosa. The amount of skill he's showing, the growth he's showing between each fight he's having is so impressive. It is so impressive to a point where, man, last fight, I believe he had a fight. His last fight was against Charles Jourdain. I was hoping for Charles Jourdain, but the way he came out of that fight, he had every answer for every problem Charles Jourdain provided, and then he ended up winning the fight via Darce choke. It was very, very impressive. I'm keyed in watching Julian Erosa because this is a guy that I believe he is going to be a title contender in the next year and a half, 2 years.
Yeah, we shall see. He's won 4 of his last 5 fights, so definitely on a streak now. Definitely he's done a lot of recent success. Julian Erosa. We shall see if he can get done against Steven Peterson.
So with that being said, I want to ask you: is there any fight on the preliminaries that you feel that we gotta look out for?
This one that intrigues me a little bit. This is a guy that I've heard a lot of buzz about. I remember, and then, excuse me, sorry. But then, it's kind of died out a little bit because he lost his last fight. But the guy is definitely talented. That's Hakeem Daoud versus Mike Trizano. And Hakeem Daoud is the guy I'm talking about. Had a lot of buzz and a lot mentioned him prior to his last fight. I mean, he got a nickname Hakeem Mean Daoud. He's from Canada, and he's 12-2. Like I said, he's got about 7 victories and 5 decisions. Not 7 victories by KO and TKO, excuse me, and 5 decisions. So everyone's by KO, TKO. He's gonna decision you. 12-2, definitely a really talented fighter. First fight since June of 2021. So about 8 months. Yeah, 8-month layoff. Yeah. Going against Mike Trizano, who's 9-1. So these are 2 guys with very good records, 12-2 versus 9-1. Definitely 2 guys who are definitely used to winning and who definitely look like guys who could be, rising contenders in this I'm trying to remember what weight class they're in. Hang on.
This is in the featherweight. Yeah.
There you go, featherweight division. 2 guys who are rising contenders in the featherweight division. I am interested to see who stands out here and puts himself, in the closer to the rankings, because it's gonna be hard because the featherweight division is on fire right now. It's a lot of talented guys in the featherweight division. So whoever can win can definitely step up and put themselves, in a better position.
Most definitely, I agree with you there. That's what the preliminaries is all about. If these guys have, they show impressive forms of victory, then Dana White is only going to call you up, ask you for more, and he's going to give you that fight bonus. These guys deserve it when they earn these fight bonuses because of the work they put in. If that's your fight, for me, man, the fight that I have to highlight for this card, because it is the only female fight on the card in the bantamweight division, Alexis Davis versus Juliaja Stoliarenko. Usually when it's usually one woman fight on that card, the women tend to have women tend to have a propensity and a, to just kind of want to show out more because they're the only two women representing on that card. Usually when there's only one female fight on the card, that ends up being the most violent fight on the card. So that's the way it happens. I'm looking out. I'm looking out for that. I'm checking that out.
Okay, yeah, that makes sense.
Calvin, you said would either of us try MMA? Yeah, I try training in a gym once in a while. It's just like I said, Chef Dan, you got to take care of certain things, And you said that I saw G Money's boys lose to the Hawks. Deservedly so. That's all I can say about that. But yeah, with this female fight, if it's usually the only female fight on the card, it's usually the most violent one. So I'm looking forward to that.
Oh yeah, to answer Kelvin's question about trying MMA, yeah, I would. Yeah, I like to train it, just to learn like how things operate and stuff. Would I've tried to compete? If I was younger, yes. Like I wish if I was like, you take me back 8 years ago, oh definitely. Yeah, because at least I could try develop skills and train stuff and just see, and try to become world champion. If I didn't believe I could become a world champion, I wouldn't do like if I was younger, I wouldn't I wouldn't try to fight basically.
Yeah, but I love both of us we talked about it. Love to train MMA. Love to. There's nothing wrong with learning that information, not even like you don't do it to be a bully or anything like that. You learn it to defend yourself. But also when you start to watch, like when you watch the sport, you realize like the beauty and emotion that these guys have as far as like if a guy is a striker and he transitions like the smooth transition he has to go into grappling, then if that doesn't work, how his brain immediately tries to do something else, and the different ways that the different ways that we've learned as human race to defend ourselves and what we can do to the human body when defending ourselves and trying to get an objective of causing pain to another person. That's why it's like I love it. There's a science to it. There's a sweet science to it.
Yes, there's science to it. Yeah, definitely. And like I said, it's self-defense. Like I said, it's good to know how to defend yourself in case you have to be in that situation. We got in an unfortunate situation, we have to defend yourself. But yeah, like to learn just learn how to operate, just have a better understanding. Yeah, of course. And like I said, if I was 8 years younger, I'd definitely like to compete in it, especially if I would believe that I had a chance to be a champion. When I was younger, obviously, because I feel like as a sport, MMA is something you have to like. You gotta believe. You gotta like. If you're gonna do it, like you have to like believe that you can do something great in MMA, like legitimately. That's just me speaking. Like, if you don't think so, I don't think that's the right sport for someone. That's just me speaking. Like I said,
No, the other thing that you mentioned, like the reason why you said with it being younger, is because we're noticing that with the athletes, today's day and age of athlete, the way they're coming out, it isn't like these guys are watching basketball or watching whatever sport they're seeing for the first time and they're like 18 years old, 19 years old. No, these guys are wrestlers from young. Their parents are putting them in wrestling programs or karate programs, things of that nature. They stay consistently all throughout their younger ages, grooming themselves in one form of combat, so that by the time they get into MMA, they're now learning another set of skills. So now it's not really, you're trying to learn one set of skills and take that into the ring. That we've all watched it, that the sport itself has evolved to a point where you need to bring in multiple sets of skills. So that's where it's at, and that's why you don't take anyone's time for granted. You don't take your own time in your own life for granted. You train from younger, and then from there, that's the way today's athletes are coming out.
Yeah, that's true.
So I mean, this was very awesome card coming up this Saturday, Fight Night, UFC Fight Night. It starts at 4 p.m. We're gonna have 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 13 fights on the card. UFC is right back to giving us more than 10 fights. We needed that, especially after the last UFC Fight Night. It only had about 9-10 fights. Need more fights, and now that we have these, I'm excited. I'm definitely excited. We got some fireworks. We got some guys that they need to make their name. They need to continue, paving a way for themselves. Guys in Malcolm Gordon, Valentin Almeida, Marc-Andre Barrios. That's a guy who I'm very excited in watching him fight, because he's been a guy that's been, highly touted. Miles John as well. He's been highly touted. So we got some interesting names. Don't sleep on these names coming up for this fight. I know a lot of newer fight fans, you're going to be introduced to these guys. But to the people right now, if you're watching us and if we want to give you any reason, is that all these guys, they want to make their names be known. It's early in the year. You're giving yourself an opportunity to get called back for more fights, more money. You're fighting in January. Take advantage. That way you can have a fight in April, May, June, September, December, things of that nature. That's why these guys are fighting right now.
Yep, you get a point. Couldn't say any better myself. So with that being said, I think we can end it. I think we can end the show here. Like I said, it starts at 4:00, the prelims?
Yes.
4:00 on ESPN Plus, I assume.
Yeah, it's 4:00 ESPN Plus. It'll probably start off on ESPN, and then it'll change over to ESPN Plus as more broadcasting is aired throughout the day.
Okay.
Calvin, you said you won a Section 5 wrestling title back in the late 70s, boxed in the Army, was on track to compete in the 1980s Olympics until President Reagan boycotted the Russian Olympics, fighting super heavyweight. Calvin, you got a story you got to tell, man. That sounds like you got a story to tell.
Yes, exactly. You got one day maybe come on and tell a story about that. Because that's crazy to think you had a chance to be in the Olympics before, I think, President Carter. I don't know. I think it was Carter before Reagan. I know what you mean, though. Like, around that time period, boycott the Americans from going to the Olympics.
That's very interesting. It sounds like you got stories of, that could teach us younger folks about what it was back in the day. But also, I'd love, if anything, Kelvin, you join us on a watch along for a UFC event. That way, we're teaching each other. You teaching us what you're seeing. We're teaching you what we're seeing, things of that nature. I'd love to do a watch along with you on the, on the stream with us. And that way we're chopping it up and we're just learning and, really dissecting what we're seeing in the sport. But yeah, Calvin, we definitely got to talk. That's a very interesting story, man. And salute to you for what you've done, and salute to you for your service for us in America. Thank you so much.
So to you, definitely.
Said you were fighting in Fort Sam, Houston, was kicking butt 9-0. Hey man, the man says he was undefeated. I'll take his word for it.
Okay. Yep. Yeah, definitely. Thank you for your service, and like I said, thank you for supporting us. And like I said, I think that's where we can end it here. Thank you guys for tuning in and watching us. To whether you're watching us live or post live, where it be on YouTube or audio platforms like Spotify and Google Podcasts and Apple Podcasts, etc. Thank you guys for listening, tuning into us. Don't forget to give us, hit subscribe or like on YouTube, and give us a positive review on these audio platforms. And we definitely look forward to that. And we definitely look forward to doing the show next week, and we break down UFC 270, UFC 271. Yeah, 271, right?
No, we're gonna review Fight Night, and we're gonna break down 271 that's coming up. Yes, you're right.
Yeah, okay, yeah. That's what I'm trying. There we go. Review Fight Night, and then break down UFC 271, which is definitely an exciting pay-per-view and using Texas. That's in the main event, co-main event. Well, next week. That's for next week. We'll break it down.
The H-Town boys swanging and banging. Let's hear it. We here for it. Let's go. Until then, man, I just want to say, man, Calvin T. Jones, you letting us know you had an amateur career of 85-1. You broke your hand in your 8th fight. That was the only fight that you lost. Yeah, we definitely got to talk. We're definitely gonna talk more behind the scenes, and I'd love for you to do a watch along with us. Hopefully we do it not only in MMA but in boxing as well, because it seems like you have an eye for boxing. I'd love to see what you see from your perspective and things of that nature. But for me, Chef Dan, my last words is like I said, man, we're back to fighting. We just got off a great Eagle FC card, thanks to Khabib Nurmagomedov, where we have another one coming up with Kevin Lee versus Diego Sanchez. We just finished the Bellator card, where the heavyweight title was defended successfully. Ryan Bader was able to successfully defend his title after losing the light heavyweight title and what he felt was, just too much weight jumping up and down. And now we have a beautiful, violent card in UFC Fight Night coming up. Hermansson versus Strickland. Ladies and gentlemen, this is not a highly skilled fight. This is pure violence. Both these guys are coming in here to make each other bleed. I'm looking forward to it. Hands rubbing like Birdman. Let's get to it.
Okay. My last words are look forward to the fights. Stay tuned and enjoy the fights and stay safe. And we definitely look forward to seeing you next week from Austin and Chef Dan. See you guys and have a good night.
Peace.
Ladies and gentlemen, we are live!